Hey friends, welcome to Never Lunch on a Friday. I am your host, Natasha Golinsky. I am so excited to have you here in a brand new season, season 2. If you are new to the Never Lunch family, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we're about. I am a female founder. I have run my own businesses for 30 years, and I know for sure that the way that so many of us have set goals. We know what we want. We've got the vision boards. We've got the game plan. We've got the strategy. We've got it all like in our head, all figured out what we're going to do, but we never ever, or we don't even get close to it. We don't get close. We get stuck. And the reason is not because of strategy. The reason is because of trauma. I always give this example, and to me, it's just the perfect metaphor of imagine yourself in a fishing net, right? You're in those big, like commercial fishing net, and you're stuck in this net, and you can see where you want to go. You can see the shore, you can see the boat, you can see all the things, but like you're stuck. You've got these cords around you, and you can't get out. Maybe you reach an arm out, but you can't actually like get out until you start cutting the net, right? To like set yourself free. And that's what I love talking about. I love talking about how do we heal the trauma that keeps us stuck? And it's something we don't even know is there. And when I record the podcast episode, that's what I talk about. I talk about the trifecta of nervous system regulation, trauma, entrepreneurship. As a founder myself, I've been through many traumatic, big T, little t, so many different traumas that I've had to heal to help my business grow. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about different ways that we can look at this as founders. I have organized my notes. I really want to bring incredible value. So in season 2, instead of me just yelling and ranting and swearing, and I'm actually going to really try to be structured in how I share the lessons I want to share with you. Because I know for me, sometimes I can get on a tangent and just say a bunch of random stuff. And I have a point. I know I have a point, but I'm not always sure it comes across. So this time, for season 2, I've written myself out like a script. And so if it sounds like I'm reading something new, I am. These are my notes. This is some stuff I wrote for myself. So I don't forget to say the important things I want to share. Because my life work that I want to leave behind me one day is a world full of shining, bright, shiny, amazing female founders. I am a feminist. I love seeing women in business succeed. I live for that. And I just know that we get stuck, right? And we don't know why we're stuck. And that's what I'm here to help us do, right? So stick with me. It's going to be an amazing episode. And yeah, let's get started. So the founder myth, why working harder isn't fixing your business. I want to ask you something right off the top, because something in your business isn't working. And I mean, really working, like you've tried it, you've tried the other thing, you've hired the person, you've bought the course, you've restructured the offer, when none of it is moving the needle the way you expected. What is your default response? Let's be honest. For most founders, and I mean most founders, myself included, the answer is usually some version of, I need to do more, I need to work harder, I need to be more disciplined, more consistent, more visible, more optimized. And I get it. I really do, because for a long time, that was my answer too. I've been running a web development agency for over 10 years. I went through breast cancer while being a sole income provider for my 3 kids. I built a remote team of 14 contractors with almost zero turnover. I've been, by every external measure, someone who figures it out. And I was still stuck, still exhausted, still unable to step back, still doing everything myself, even when I had people to hand things to. Still convinced that if I just pushed a little harder, stayed a little later, optimized one more thing, it would finally click. And it didn't. And the reason it didn't had absolutely nothing to do with my strategy. Today, I want to talk about the myth that is quietly running and quietly wrecking a lot of female-founded businesses. The myth that hustle is the game plan, that doing more is the answer, that if you're stuck, it's because you haven't worked hard enough yet. And here's what I've learned from building my own business, from going through my own deeper inner work, from working with female agency owners through Never Launch. Working harder is not a strategy. It's a way of avoiding the actual question. And the actual question is something most founders have never thought to ask. Let's get into it. Part 1, the myth. So let's start with the assumption itself, because I think it's actually worth naming it out loud. The assumption is this: my business isn't where I want it to be because I'm not doing enough. And look, on the surface, that seems totally reasonable. Business runs on action. You have to show up, do the work, stay consistent. That part is absolutely true. But here's where it gets dangerous. When do more becomes your default response to every problem, When it's the first thing you reach for every single time something isn't working, it stops being a strategy and starts being a way of avoiding something. Hustle is a very convincing decoy. It sounds like commitment, it sounds like discipline from the outside, and honestly from the inside too. It feels like you're doing something. You're in motion, you're working, you're not giving up. But busyness is one of the most effective ways I know of to avoid the question that actually needs answering. And that question that actually needs answering is not, what else can I add to my plate? It's, why isn't what I'm already doing working? Those are very different questions. And one of them will keep you running in circles for years. Here's the thing I want you to really sit with. You can be the hardest working person in the room and still be completely and utterly stuck. Output is not the same as traction. I have watched incredibly driven, incredibly capable women pour everything they have into their businesses, more hours, more content, more offers, more hustle, and make almost no meaningful progress because they were trying really hard in the wrong direction. More effort poured into a broken pattern is just more of the same broken pattern, but done faster. And I'm not doing enough is a story. It's not a diagnosis. It feels true. It sounds responsible, but it is covering up the real problem, which we are going to get to in just a second. Part 2, the root. Okay, so if hustle isn't the answer, what is? I want to talk about something that I think is genuinely under-conversed in the business space, and it is this. The patterns that are running your business didn't start the day you launched. The overfunctioning, the inability to delegate, the chronic hypervigilance, the saying yes when you mean to say no, that the feeling that if you're not personally on top of everything, it will all fall apart. Those patterns are older than your business, a lot older. They started in the environments we grew up in the early experiences that taught us what safe looks like, what we have to do to be loved, to be seen, to not be a burden. Your business didn't create those patterns. It just gave them a really expensive new place to live. I'll use myself as an example because I think it's important not just to talk about this theoretically. I am the oldest of 6 siblings. My dad had a bipolar disorder and was almost mostly absent. My mom was essentially a single parent raising 6 kids. And very early on, from the time that I was a kid, I figured out a strategy. If I was exceptional, I got noticed. If I was the good one, the responsible one, the one who never caused problems and always had it together, I mattered. I wasn't just one of 6 kids who got lost in the noise. Being a high achiever was how I survived. Now, that was a smart adaptation for a kid in that environment. It genuinely worked. It got me through school, through building a business, through a cancer diagnosis, through all of it. But here's the problem. The same adaptation, I have to be exceptional, I have to be on everything, I cannot slow down or it will fall apart, having needs makes me a burden, is the same wiring that protected me, is the exact same thing that now when as an adult has kept me drowning for years. That kept me drowning for years. It's not a character flaw. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a survival strategy that outlived its usefulness and never got updated. And when I started working with female agency owners, what I see almost universally is some version of this. The founder who can't stop doing everything herself isn't a control freak. She's running a trust wound. The founder who can't slow down isn't lazy about self-care. She's running hypervigilance she learned a long time ago. The founder who's charging way below her worth isn't just underselling herself. She's running an unconscious belief that she hasn't done enough yet to deserve more. These are not personality traits. These are adaptive patterns. And they will keep running your business quietly, invisibly, very effectively until you actually look at them. Part 3, the nervous system piece. Here's why I want to go a little deeper because this is the piece I think is the most undertalked. Your business will grow to exactly the level your nervous system can tolerate and not 1 inch further. I know this sounds like a big claim. Let me explain what I mean. A lot of founders, especially female agency owners who have been running hard for years, are operating almost entirely on stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, fight or flight. And here's the insidious part. It doesn't feel like stress. It feels like drive. The hypervigilance feels like caring about your business. The urgency feels like motivation. The inability to stop feels like commitment. The checking and rechecking and staying on top of every single thing feels like being a good leader. But what's actually happening in your body has been a survival mode for so long, the calm starts to feel dangerous. I remember when I first started trying to step back from my agency, genuinely hand things over to my operations manager, actually let go. There was almost physical resistance. Not because I didn't trust her, not because I thought the business would actually fall apart, but because my nervous system had been running on, I have to be on this for so long that stepping back felt like failing. And that's the part that nobody tells you. You can want the growth, you can have the strategy, you can know exactly what needs to happen and have the right people around you to make it happen. And your nervous system will quietly, methodically sabotage every attempt to get there. Not because you're broken, not because you're self destructive, because your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from anything that feels unfamiliar. And expansion, scaling, letting go, being visible, charging more, all of that is unfamiliar. So your nervous system files it under threat. And here's the part I think is really important to the women listening today. Hustle culture is dangerous for women who are already running this pattern before they ever opened a business. If you grew up over functioning, taking care of everyone else, being the responsible one, making yourself small so you wouldn't be a burden, you do not need someone telling you to work harder. You have been working hard your entire life. What you need is someone to tell you that it's safe to stop. That business will not fall apart if you rest. You are not only valuable when you're producing. And that is not a productivity coaching conversation. That is a much deeper conversation than that. Part 4, why strategy isn't the answer. So I want to address the thing that I know some of you are thinking right now. Okay, Natasha, I still need the tactics. I still need to know what to do. And yes, absolutely, strategy matters. Systems matter. Hiring the right people matters. But here's what I've watched happen over and over again. And I've done this myself. A founder invests in a course, gets all the information, does not implement it, hires a VA, fires them 6 weeks later, builds a system, does not use it, restructures her offer, launches it from the same broken place, and gets the same result. It's not that the strategy is wrong. It's that the strategy cannot reach the level where the actual problem lives. More strategy layered on top of unresolved patterns is just expensive noise. And the real tell is this. Almost every stuck founder I've ever worked with already knows what they need to do. They know they need to delegate more. They know they need to raise their prices. They know they need to stop being the bottleneck of their own businesses. They know they need to hire or fire or stop taking clients who aren't a fit. They know that. The problem is not knowledge. Something underneath the knowledge keeps pulling them back. Some belief, some pattern, some wiring that says yes, but not yet. Yes, but it's not safe. Yes, but what if it goes wrong? Yes, but I haven't earned it yet. Finding that thing, that specific pattern that's holding the ceiling in place, is worth 1,000 action plans. So if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Stop asking, what more can I do? Start asking, what is keeping me from doing what I already know? Now, that question will get you further in one honest hour than a year of pushing harder ever will. Step 5. What actually moves the needle? Okay, so I don't want to leave you with just the problem. Let's talk about what actually works. The founders I've watched genuinely break through, not just hit a revenue milestone and then crash back down, but actually build something sustainable that doesn't require them to sacrifice their sanity to maintain. They do something specific. They work on internal capacity at the same time as external systems. Not instead of systems, both, but both at the same time. Because here's the truth. You need the skills to build a team and the nervous capacity to actually let go of the reins. You need the hiring framework and the ability to trust someone enough to use it. You need the business model and the belief that you're worth what they would pay you. One without the other does not hold. That's why the VA gets fired in 6 weeks. That's why the business system sits unused. That's why the price only gets rolled back 3 months later. The outer work only works when there's enough inner work for it to land on. And the other thing I will say, because this one took me a long time to really get, is this. Rest is not the reward at the end of enough hustle. Rest is a prerequisite for the growth you actually want. The belief that you have to earn rest, that you haven't done enough yet, proven yourself yet, achieved enough to slow down yet, that is one of the most damaging things a founder can carry because there's always more to do. The goalpost will never arrive on its own. You will keep running until your body makes the decision for you. And I say that as someone who's had their body make that decision for me in breast cancer. That is not a path I recommend. The founders who built something that actually lasts are not the ones who worked the hardest. They're the ones who figured out how to stop treating exhaustion as proof that they care. So here's where I want to land this. The myth that you are stuck because you are not doing enough. The truth is that you are stuck because something underneath the doing, something older than your business, something wired in how you learned how to survive, is quietly holding the ceiling in place. No amount of hustle is going to reach it. Working harder is a way of avoiding the actual question. And the actual question is this: what do I believe about myself that makes me think I have to earn my own rest, my own success, my own life? When you answer that question, not in a strategy doc, not in a new hire, not in a better morning routine, but in there, the actual root of it is where everything changes. That is what Never Launch is built around. And if any part of what I said today landed for you, I would generally love to hear about it. Come find me on LinkedIn. Tell me which part of this hit for you. If you're a female agency owner who's done being told the answer is just working harder, the link to Never Lunch is in the show notes. And if you want to start with something practical, something that'll actually give you breathing room while you do the deeper work, grab the Upwork Hiring Blueprint. It's free, it's in the show notes, and it's the first real step towards building a team that actually gives you a life back. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.